You only get one life. This is not a dress rehearsal. The life you imagine.
What would it feel like to never in your life again walk into a room and feel insecure? I forget that I used to feel insecure. I don't even think about it.
Hey everybody, we want to welcome you back to Two Lit Chicks. It's your girl, Fern Johnson. Alicia Mackay is still out on medical leave, but I have with me today some of the baddest ass sisters in corporate, global, workplace, America, the whole thing. I mean, they are the Two Lit Chicks. I'm just the extra over here trying to make this conversation flow together. Welcome to today's episode. We have Miss Renea Pierre and we have Miss Tia Buckham-White. I probably should correct and say Mrs. Renea Pierre and Mrs. Tia Buckham-White. Nonetheless, we're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode.
Thank you for having us, Fern.
Now, let me tell you, before we even get started, these are my girls, and I love them to pieces. And I love the fact that during Women's History Month, we're able to bring them into the conversation around the journey of self-awareness. But before we get into all the good Gucci stuff, because we're going to bring all that to the energy to the podcast, let me just tell you who these phenomenal women are. So I'm going to go left to right on my screen. So we have a serial entrepreneur, Mrs. Renea J. Pierre. She is the CEO of Emotion. She is a results-driven professional. She's got over 2 decades of demonstrated success in strategy, business development, process redesign, event production, operations, and analytics. She's an accomplished executive leader with a track record of delivering exceptional results across diverse sectors. Renea has a wealth of experience in driving business growth and delivering impact. Not only impact, positive impact. She leverages innovation approaches, beat practices, and contemporary resources to help organizations exceed their goals and objectives. Welcome, Renea. Give us your 30-second story.
Yeah, so thank you, Fern, for this opportunity to connect with you, especially in Women's History Month. And so my story is that I stand on the shoulders of the phenomenal women that came before me that paved this path so that I could sit before you both today. And so I am excited that I have the opportunity to make the impact, the positive impact on the world that I can. And I feel like it is my duty to leave the world better than I found it.
Amazing. And you do. So I've known Renea for, I don't know if it's 20 years, but at least 15 years. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. And you do leave a positive impact, and your touches are just amazing on how you uplift, inspire, all the things. So let's go on to my girl, Tia Buckham-White, Ms. Tia Buckham-White, who is the founder and CEO of Notre Internationale. She is a part, and she is one of the top 10 management consultants to watch in 2023 from Entrepreneur Magazine. As the founder of Notre Internationale, the self-awareness company, Tia embodies an innovative spirit in her transformative ability to educate, empower, enhance, and evolve. She created Team Notre, a curated ecosystem of internal partnered professionals and consultants in delivering unique solutions for businesses of all sizes and various industries, including several Fortune 500 companies. Team Notre, together with Tia, offers a unique approach that focuses on supporting and engaging clients in their journey towards self-management and intercultural understanding. Her coaching and consulting captivate and compel companies to enact change through leadership development, equity and inclusion initiatives, and executive coaching, all through the lens of genuine self-awareness. Now, she's a bad sister. Quite honestly, we all bad sisters up on this call today. But Tia, tell us a little bit about your story and your journey.
You know what? Okay, I just love you both. You know I do.
And I'm not going to cry. We're not crying.
And I know you about the same amount of time, about 15 years. I would say you're right, for about 15 years or more, a little bit more. And you know what? I started my journey with doing this work because I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel like I was getting what I needed, right? And I also was failing in some of the relationships in my life. And I've said this story so many times. And I had to figure out what was going on with me. So I will tell you this. I love serving women, women of color, my community, but I really do serve all people. And like Renee said, I like that when you said standing on the shoulders of other folks. There are people that have laid the path for us to be where we are, people that give me the feedback I need to hear, telling me the things I need to know to be where I am. But the reason I started this company was because I did not feel there was anywhere where we can really think differently about how to be successful in corporate America and just in business in general.
This podcast is all about giving it back and paying it forward. And I want to make sure that for leaders, not if you're just only a leader in tech, but if it's in sales, if it's in marketing, if you're the next serial entrepreneur, you need to understand who you are. And so I'm going to share this. Tia was my executive coach back in 2022, 2021, 2022. And I thought it was important for me to start to really understand my journey. And although I felt like, well, I'm already old, fart, but there's still so much more you can learn about yourself. And so I hired Tia, and she said, Fern, if you don't address you and your issues and who you are, who you want to be if you're not where you are, then you're never going to really make material difference in how you lead and how you show up and how you deliver for yourself and for other organizations and for people. And so I really leaned into that, and I leaned into understanding myself more. So it's real personal for me because as I speak, you've poured enough into me, Tia, that every time I talk to someone, I'm like, do you understand yourself? Have you taken that journey of self-awareness? And then, Renee, I think you also have been mentored, coached, a lot of love poured in.
Yes.
Tia, can you talk about your experience with your executive coaching and how understanding your self-awareness is so important?
Yes, and I think it really is. I have known Tia in the work that she was doing, and I always tell this story that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so I was at a point in my life where things were not going in the direction that I wanted them to, and I was not feeling fulfilled in all the things that I was doing. And so I came to self-awareness from a personal perspective at first because I'm a mom of 4, and so I wanted to parent differently. And so that's really where I came to self-awareness, but it has completely changed my life. And that's not feel good. It literally has changed my life in the way that I parent, in the way that I engage in relationships, in the way that I lead from a leadership perspective in business, and the way I even view myself. Because what self-awareness has really illuminated was my need to be validated in my position about self-worth. And so I know we use this in corporate about imposter syndrome. Well, that I was never an imposter. I was never feeling worthy. And so when we figured that out, kind of touched the rock. That's what we say in Notre. When I touched the rock, it was like your life. You know how you can rewind? I can see how I was showing up in all those places because I didn't feel worthy. And I was attracting people in my life that continued that perpetuation of me not feeling worthy. It's such a powerful thing that once you can see it. You know how that movie, like you can, so you're aware, you can see yourself in the space. It's a powerful tool. It's changed my life. I will forever do the work.
Forever do and I think that's the ongoing, I think we're forever doing the work. It's not a one and done. So Tia, talk to us about for those who are not there yet, and so we're paying it forward, we're giving it back, paying it forward. So we want to educate on what is self-awareness in your terms.
Before I answer what self-awareness is on my terms, I'd like to just say to you, both of you, what I love about this work is that when you really do get people on the same page of thinking, right, about themselves, what they're responsible for, what they bring, who they are, it is so powerful to have the same blessing given back. You give me professional advice and coaching and development too, Fern. You give me wisdom from your, 32 years of executive leadership at one of the biggest, corporations in our country, right? And Renee has given me so much accountability about her business acumen of know your numbers, Tia. What are you doing? How I'm affecting. So what I love about this work is that I gave you the piece that I do well, my piece that I've studied, and that's what I sell in the market. But both of you have also given me things that's your specialties that has blessed me too. And I love the give and take of that. So let me talk a little bit about how I see what self-awareness is, because it was something that I wasn't. There were some people when I began in 2011 that were kind of like, you gonna do what? And you gonna serve who? And why are you doing it like that? I did have that. And the vision was very clear to me, because I really believe when I would look at my sales team, and the sales team I was on was average at best. I mean, we were not making our numbers, and I wasn't the leader of the sales team, so I don't feel bad about that. But I always did a great job on my section that I was responsible for doing. And I always influenced the leaders that I had to sell up to, basically. I had to do all this. But what really got me is self-awareness allows you to understand yourself and know how you're feeling. Because a lot of us, I don't know if we really are clear about how we feel when we interact, how we feel when we engage. And I think we were conditioned, those of us of a certain age, absolutely. Xers and boomers, young boomers, I think we were absolutely conditioned away from our feelings. We were told, do the process. Go ahead, Fern. Go ahead, say.
No. So you said it talks about how we're feeling, but is the next dial down or level up why we're feeling that way?
Absolutely, because you have to know that you have a feeling to even get that next layer that you're discussing, which is the how and the why of it all, right? So first, we have to even know that we have a feeling, because like I was saying, if we go into, this is how you do it. This is the rule. Here's my report. Here's the process. No emotions. Never let them see you sweat. Fake it till you make it. Don't show, don't cry at work. That's our conditioning. Well, then that kind of really desensitizes you from your own feeling or what you want to do or being different. So when I came up with this idea about focusing on self-awareness, I do think there had to be some divine intervention in it, because it really did hit me. Like I felt like it was a creative wave that hit me. But I also, to go to Renee's point, on the personal side, I developed self-awareness too, because I had a great husband who was doing what he's supposed to do. I had great children. I had a good life. And I was messing things up knowingly and unknowingly, and selecting people in my life that really just weren't valuing me or giving me what I needed. And I had to look in the mirror and be like, what is going on here? I have a good life. I have people that love me. Why am I making these choices that I had no answer? Yes, I did therapy. Yes, I did. But go ahead. Yes.
No, so this is going to be a great conversation, because we're going to touch on things that spark a conversation. So we might go a little bit, the conversation is going to go a little bit curved, but that's where it should be in a podcast. So it should be how the puts and takes and how it ebbs and flows. But I lost my point. So Renee, do you have something to add to it?
No, I think where you were going was that it really does get to the essence of you. And when I absolutely believe that we were programmed, because it's like, you have a good job, do your job, get your paycheck, keep your head down, don't cause any trouble, and do the thing because you have a good job. So in these good jobs, you should be grateful that you have this good job and don't do anything to jeopardize it, and just have to be almost in a way robotic, in a way to assimilate, fit in, and all of that. And then you're really, you can be true to yourself and still excel and still meet the goals and still do the things. But in Notre says to know others, you first must know yourself. And so if you can't know yourself, how do you even lead well? How do you even serve? How do you even give your best if you don't even know yourself?
So how do we leave? We're nowhere near leaving the conversation, but this next generation coming into the workforce, maybe I think are self-aware, because they're not accepting some of the programming that we were programmed with. They're coming in with different expectations. I know you've got four children. You've got two children, one who's in college, who's blazing the trail, and they are not coming in with the same things that we are now operating with. So what are you seeing in this as folks are coming into the workplace about their self-awareness, and are they dialing into it? Are they bringing that to the table? And is it still a conversation that we have to have? Because I think, I know it's a conversation we have to have because we have now, 5 generations in the workplace. And so there's how do we deprogram probably more people like myself, my age group. But what are we seeing with this next generation that's coming in? And then what do we see for the executives? So I want to kind of go through mid-career with self-awareness for early career, self-awareness for mid-career, and then self-awareness for executives. I think that looks different. And Tia, this is your wheelhouse. How would you advise us on those 3 areas, those 3 generations?
I don't know if the basic self-awareness is so different depending on the generation or where you are in the corporate walk. I do believe that, like I was saying a little bit earlier, knowing how you feel as a first level and understanding why are you doing what you're doing. Some of us were doing things that were given to us by people who've never been in corporate America, that was coming from a survival mentality. Right. So let me take it this way. Y'all jump in and redirect me if I'm going in another direction. But what I believe is that we were conditioned, the boomers had to survive. Right. They just had to get into corporate America, elevate, and survive. The Xers kind of were, and we split the fence. Like we kind of survived a little bit and we kind of tried to thrive. Mm-hmm. When the millennials came along and said no to a lot of things that Xers actually agreed with. I would jokingly laugh with people all the time and be like, well, you know what millennials saying? I kind of agree with what they're saying. But we didn't have the numbers, we didn't have the power. Time and culture was different. You know, it was still in the 20th century mindset, which is reading was the 20th century. You had to know how to read and be educated. Now it's about learning, unlearning, and relearning, which came actually, ironically, was written in the 20th century. But that's the piece that came from Alvin Toffler, which is like, you got to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So what I believe with the 3 different sets of questions you asked is it kind of has the foundation of sameness across all of them. But depending what's coming your way at those different levels, it affects how you have to do it. At the top level, which is where we serve, at the executive level, it really is, can you be strategic? Or are you stuck in thinking your skills will save you? Because they won't anymore, right?
What got you there won't keep you there.
It won't keep you there. And your skill is not enough anymore, right? So any combination of what got you there will keep you there, absolutely. And specifically, if you do not work well with people, if you do not want to help people, if you use your power to control and manipulate, if you don't even know you're doing it, if you're unconscious about all your privileges that allow you to move or not move, if you don't have compassion, if you can't see the other side, if you're at work judging, and judging is, I would never do that. Who does that? I would never think that way. That's so stupid. All of that is judgment, even if you never say it.
Right.
Right. So I just want to put that in there that you are right. There's some specific things that are situationally different. But I think at the core, teaching the skill as young as possible coming into the workforce. You have to know how you feel. You have to know what you think. And why do you even do what you do?
Right. And I would just also offer that a lot of times people say, well, I didn't say that. And that was not my intention. But we all know human communication starts with nonverbals. And it's like 80% of your communication is nonverbal. So even if you're not saying it and you feel it, and that's also goes to your point to you about knowing how you feel. If somebody else can feel it and they know you don't like them, they know you don't want to be bothered. They know that even if you never verbalize that. And so I also think that's bringing that forward and people understanding themselves, like just because you didn't say something doesn't make it not true.
So, having spent 33 years at PepsiCo, I know that I had to be really self-aware, especially as I ascended to senior director and then to VP, that my presence, I had to be self-aware that just walking into the room was making a statement. And then when you walked in the room, how did you want to show up? And you said something that triggered in me, Renee. You said how you make people will know when you don't like them and how that makes them feel, right? And that's so important in how you're made to feel. And so I would really walk in the room and I would just try to have a bright smile and be super happy because for those of you who don't know me or haven't seen me stand up, I'm 5'11", and I'm on the thick side of a sister than the slimmer side of a sister. I love my curves, but that's who I am. So you're going to see me. You're going to notice me, but I want to make sure I diffuse the fact that I can't change it. I'm 5'11", so let me just diffuse all of this. Oh my God, she's a big person. Nope, it's just Fern. And and smile. And I do that now when I speak. I try to get there early and try to shake hands and talk to as many people beforehand to warm them up to, while I might be the keynote speaker or on a panel, I'm still a leader. I'm still I'm not a mother, still an auntie, still a sister, all the things. And I want you to feel comfortable with me. And I think that's important on understanding what you bring to a room and how do you want to adjust that.
And adjusting it from the, as we like to say, the root system being healthy. So adjusting from making yourself small or helping somebody feel comfortable because you feel insecure or not worthy, which I created a term called, as Renee mentioned, the worthiness complex. Because I really don't believe that some of the folks saying they feel like they're an imposter, that feeling may be true, but they're not. Because some of us are not getting a job if we're not overqualified for that job. So there's no way that we're an imposter in those things that we're doing. But I think that when you do it from a place of confidence that's leaning toward connection, engagement, serving, supporting, I want to make sure that people feel access to me, have access to what I'm saying, feel comfortable. But I feel like when we were conditioned to do it from that position of we're not good enough and we want to make everybody comfortable and worried about the white gaze and what somebody else thinks about us and what they're feeling, and we don't want them to feel uncomfortable. I think we're moving away from that to being what you're talking about, Fern, which is I'm going to greet everyone so they have access to me. I'm going to talk to everyone so they know what I'm about. That's a different root system than the old school way that I was at least conditioned, which was make sure that people that didn't look like me weren't uncomfortable with me. And I think we're kind of over that. I think the Xers and the younger boomers kind of moved us away from that mentality more to the thinking of we are here to engage and connect with each other and have access to each other.
So you said you coined a term. It's called the worthiness complex?
Worthiness complex. Because I would think about, I've never felt like an imposter. I've never felt like, oh my God, they're going to see that I'm a fraud. I've never felt that way. But I have felt like I don't deserve to do something. I don't have the right to say X, Y, Z because of the way I was conditioned, the way society might have projected onto me. I don't want to be the angry Black woman.
Right.
You know, let me dumb down my intelligence. Like I did a lot of that and wasn't my bright self. I changed my Southern drawl, maybe. All these things that I did, worrying about what I was conditioned to believe was that if someone that was over us, that usually was someone that looked like me, felt uncomfortable, then I was wrong or I didn't have a right to say it. Not to add in being female and what it means to just manage men's egos in general. No hate to men. I love men. I have a man that I've been with for a long time. But, you know, but also I've never, I've had to manage my husband's ego in terms of my intelligence, right? But at work, I did feel that way a lot, that I had to downplay or not say or be away. I'm sure plenty of women understand what that means.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
And I think, how are we going to lean in? And the thing you can control, so I talk about this concept that, let's just say 75% of what's happening in the world, you can't control it. You just have no control over it at all. But 25%, hypothetically, you can control, right? That 25% is in your full control, and whatever number, it might be 35 for some and 10 for another, whoever, but just thinking the majority of what's happening, you have no control over it. I say lean into the power you do have. And the best way to lean into that power most effectively is by understanding yourself first, right? And that's where I think the power of it is. And so, as we think about where the world is going, we think about what's on the cutting edge of thinking now. It really is about the human being and about relationships and about innovation, because the world's going to change and the world's going to shift, and we're on the cusp of a lot
of change.
US,
a lot of change.
But it is affecting the globe, because the globe is the little bit, out of sync too.
So let's talk about one of the challenges that we see in understanding ourselves and taking advantage of understanding ourselves. People first say, I know I did this myself, is, hey, I want to get feedback, but I don't get honest feedback. I don't receive that direct feedback. So therefore, I'm losing with a blind spot. So I think I'm making a change, but I'm not getting the honest and open feedback. Have you guys experienced that? And how would you advise us with that challenge of kind of the feedback desert and not really understanding the blind spots that we have to address?
So let's give me the context on that again. Give me the context, and I would look at it.
So to me, the context of this is just I don't get feedback. So I could tell you that I was, in times in my career, it's like, hey, you're not getting the real feedback. People are afraid to tell you the feedback, right? Or, hey, it's the area they don't want to touch because you're a Black woman. Or, hey, they know you're giving your all and they're giving the most, but people don't want to give you that feedback. Well, if you're going to be self-aware and you're going to start to address why you're reacting to things and how you're operating, some of that you have to look within, but then you've got to get inputs from others. And if you're not getting those inputs from others, how do you drive change?
Yeah, the why
For
on that.
yourself.
Go ahead, Renee. Go ahead, Renee.
I was just going to offer, and T, I know you're going to lean into this a little bit more. The feedback mechanism in which are in corporate doesn't really lend itself to give feedback. Really, I think the line of questioning and is it your superiors that's not giving you feedback, or is it your peers or the folks that you supervise? So, they came up with 360 so that you're supposed to get feedback from everybody. And that was supposed to eliminate that. So if your peers or those that you were leading did not feel comfortable, then that should have come from the top. But I think that just really the paradigm of changing that. And some of the questions could be simply, well, how do you experience Fern? How are you experiencing Renee? Versus what I call a rote question, when you are in this situation, how have you experienced Fern? So I think even the line of questioning can be, shifted to then give you the feedback so that you can then lean into that and then have a real conversation with yourself. And then that bridge and be vulnerable with people about, and having some questions around vulnerability, because that was the thing I struggled with as well, because in my upbringing, if I was vulnerable, I was not safe. So bringing that into the workplace was it was not happening for me. And so just from my own personal experience, what you're saying, I've experienced that not getting the real feedback or feedback that was completely off, So go ahead, Tia.
Well, I think this is where all of the people's lack of their own self-awareness comes in, and using power or position to work. And also, I would say, take what Renee said, absolutely, what your point is, Fern. But I also think if we go back to that 25% where we can kind of control stuff, if people don't feel comfortable talking to you, you got to get in the mirror and ask yourself why.
Why? Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it doesn't change that someone did something to you that made you feel the way you felt and you responded the way you responded. It doesn't change the truth of that. But if people don't want to talk to you, you have to ask yourself why. Because I understand it. But the more I gained understanding about myself, I could see it and I could mitigate it too. Because sometimes people view someone as an authority figure and they're scared to talk to that authority figure, and that's their stuff. But if you're not fully self-aware, you don't know if you're playing a role in that or not. And so I'm usually sure that I'm not playing a role in why someone feels like they can't say something to me. And it's not necessarily my fault they feel that way. I also know if I've been aggravated, short-tempered, not doing all the other things, and I know that more now that might have fed that, but I'm also very clear when I haven't done that. And so I don't carry that with someone. And when you don't know yourself, you don't know what load to pick up or put down.
Ooh, that's good. If you don't know yourself, you don't know what load to pick up or pick down or put down.
That's right. You're just carrying all the loads.
Right.
And that's why I think self-understanding is the best gift you can give yourself. It's better than anything else you do. And it really is the path. Like, I need to lose 35 pounds. Right.
Oh, girl, stop.
Right. But I'm not diminishing that. But I'm saying now that I've done all this work, I know the backstory of what's going on. I know how to advocate for myself with my doctor, because I've had some challenges where I've been like, now, y'all, I can't have all this good blood work and I still, I can eat grass or eat a fried chicken and it's the same result. Something, I had to find out how to advocate, but I could do it more effectively because now I know how to advocate for myself in a place that's balanced, not reactive, not excuse making or justifying. I'm also secure in myself. Like, what would it feel like to never in your life again walk into a room and feel insecure? I forget that I used to feel insecure. I don't even think about it. And I might even make certain jokes or certain things. And even when I make those jokes and certain things, they don't feel the same as they used to feel when I say them.
So let me stop you right there, because can you just give the audience 2 or 3 golden nuggets on what they could do to walk into a room and not be fearful, walk into a room with complete confidence. And it might take years to get there to develop the skill, but you said, hey, you don't walk in, it's nothing for you. But I want to make sure that in this conversation, we're leaving folks with actionable things they can take and do themselves. So I believe that this self-awareness conversation we're having is a journey, right? It's not something that, poof, I've taken a class and I had 2 sessions with you, I'm done. It's like you have to constantly work on it. So, but can you leave just like maybe 2 or 3 nuggets that folks can say, start doing this and it will help you be more secure here?
Yeah, I would offer, it's a little bit more complex than giving just 3 points, but I'll do my best to give you this. And Renee, or either one of you can jump in and add to this piece. I believe the first thing you have to have, just if you want 2 or 3 points to know how to get to where you want to go, is first you have to have the desire to not want to feel the way you're feeling. Just like, I know people that have never in their life ever said, I want to be better, I want to evolve. They're just living and they're going and they're doing. But first, you just got to have the desire not to want to feel the way you're feeling. So you have to really own the truth of that if you really want to know what the long term to get to where you want to go. I think the second thing is you have to acknowledge your insecurity. So first, you have to not want to feel that way. I just don't want to feel like this anymore. And then you have to acknowledge the insecurity. What is it rooted in? Am I worried what people think about me? Am I worried about how I'm being perceived? Am I worried about people talking about me? Like, everybody has a different thing that is their reason. So you got to kind of know what your own specific reason is. And then the last thing I think you have to do is just practice every single day and know it isn't a switch flip, as I like to say. It really is more of a toggle. You're just moving. It's not changing necessarily. It's evolving, right? It's more of a journey. It definitely is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. But I will tell you, I started realizing that this self-awareness stuff really works. I went to an event that used to stress me out all the time. I went to a gala years and years, and I went to the gala with normal things, got back to the car, and then I realized, like, almost like, like you forgot your purse realization, like a realization when you forgot your purse. And I thought, oh my God, I did not feel insecure at this party. And I started crying because I was so used to feeling insecure. What's my dress, my shoes? Again, where are we going to sit? I just was so worried. I was always so worried. Who did
you were wound up about it.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I was a lot younger, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I just knew how I felt. And I remember when I started doing this work and really working with Renee and I were doing group work together, it was a lot of stuff that was going on. And I remember just leaving a gala and did not feel uncomfortable, it didn't even cross my mind the whole night. Awesome. But I didn't even realize it. And that's when it really hit me. And I remember calling a few people, Renee probably was, I was like, oh my God, this stuff really works. So it really was a deep experience. But I think those are the 3 things.
I love it. Anything to add? I think, so I took, I'm not sure if you heard me tap, but I took notes because I'm going to have that in the recap for sure. Renee, anything to add to that?
No, I think that is those are salient points. But it goes back to just really knowing yourself and why you feel the way you do, or the acknowledgement of feeling the way we do, because sometimes we just think we're just supposed to walk through life this way. And that saying, oh, that's just how they are. It really unnerves me now. It's like, no, it's not just how they are. There's a reason, because we don't come here broken. So our life experiences, the people who have reared us and have left imprints on us, got us to being a 40-something-year-old person, realizing that they felt unworthy, and now trying to unpack that and then move forward while being responsible for other humans.
And this really only matters if you feel bad. If you feel amazing and your life is going great and you're good and you're killing the game, that's awesome. Like, that, more folks, you are privileged, but people want to feel that way. But I would offer, I think, that more folks, I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but I'll say this. We can all live our lives with how people perceive we are, and we'll try to let that be our truth.
They perceive we're amazing. They perceive that we got it going on. They perceive they love our big, beautiful home like we love the bay. Like they can perceive all those things, right? And then you can lean into that and let that be your truth. But when you close the door, you know what your truth is.
Right.
When you brush your teeth in the morning and look at your own brown eyes or blue eyes or, hazel eyes, you know what your truth is. I think the world is moving more toward us needing to be a little bit more aware of ourselves because things are moving so quickly, so fast. There's so much unrest. There's so much volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in the world that if we don't know ourselves, it's going to be hard because the rules don't apply the same way. You don't go to work, get a job, get your golden watch, get your pension, and have your white picket fence in your home. It doesn't work that way anymore. And I think that the way you could circumvent that is by building a great network of folks that can give you the truth, like you said earlier, give you the feedback.
Right.
That you empower to do that, but also really lean into understanding who you are in a deeper way, not just what you like to do on Tuesday.
As I was going through this journey, I had to realize how I had to adapt because people had perceptions of me and I wanted to change those perceptions. Because I knew some of them were true and some of them were not true. And so it was important for me to understand what made them feel, what did I do to make them feel that way? What was I saying? How was I behaving to make them feel a certain way? Was it my actions? Was it my tone? Was it my body language? And so I've had to readapt because there's some of the qualities I said, yeah, that is me. And that's how I want to show up. And there was some of those qualities I said, that's not how I want to show up. And what's been great as I've had a year to rewire, and I'm now in this rewiring phase, is because I'm not on the proverbial hamster wheel of going 1,000 miles an hour with my former role, I have time to really be intentional and to really be in the moment and there. And you said this to me a couple of years ago, T. I'm not sure if you remember. We were on the phone, we were on a conversation, and I had you in my ear, but I was checked into 10 other things. And you saw it clear as day. And you were like, Fern, when you have time for this conversation, let me know. But I realized that you got a lot of things, and you were polite about it. But it was a juggernaut to say, you're not all over the place, girl. Like, I need you to be here with me, and this is how you're showing up. Like, oh, damn. Right. And so I said, okay, let me call you back because I had to finish something. But I think that self-awareness, and then I was like, oh, gosh, I don't want to show up like that. So I've got to readapt myself and be aware of what I'm doing and how I'm delivering, because that's not who I want others to receive me as. So I think that we're talking about a few things that are resonating on the challenge of not getting the feedback, the challenge of showing vulnerability. Renee talked about that. There's always the bias in there. We've got to still perform. Those are the challenges. But, the way you put it so eloquently, if you want to have this journey of self-awareness, you have to first, like I said, I took the notes. You have to first, why am I feeling this way? And do I want to feel this way? So if I don't want to feel this way, I've got to understand my own truth of that. That was one. I've got to acknowledge my insecurity and what's rooted in that. That was two. And then once I understand what's rooted in that and what I have to adjust, it's not, okay, I turned the switch, adjusted, I'm good. I'm Gucci. You ain't Gucci. You got to keep, just like, my Peloton. I'm trying to get better on my Peloton. I got to practice that every day.
Come on.
You've got to practice self-awareness every day. It's not a switch. It's in order to evolve and to move up that level, you've got to continue to traverse and continue to repeat. Repetition makes practice. Practice makes perfect. Keep it going.
Yeah. And also I would say to not say this to every place I go, but I'm saying this to Black women that are listening. It goes for all people. It'd be good to everybody. I'm saying to Black women, and I say it all the time, be good to each other. Turn to your sister and be good to each other. Because you know what? We have an opportunity in the culture right now. We coalesced around a beautiful, dynamic woman that ran for the highest seat in the land, right? And did a great job and did the best she could do. But what are we doing to really support each other? Because I do believe there's an opportunity, right? And you attract the kind of people that you are to yourself.
That's a mic drop right there, girl.
Living witness, and it is when I've understood myself, that is changing. And we also say this, Tia, you've said this before. If you have the life that you imagine for yourself and all the things are going well, and when you close your door, you still are not happy, you still don't feel good, that's when you know you need to do something else. Because a lot of times we conflate, or if I get this, I will feel this. Or if I do this, I'm going to be better. Or if I do this, or if I get this one thing, then it's going to change everything. And as a person that has done some of that in her life, until I understood myself, none of that was true. Because you just level up in the next thing, and it's the next thing and the next thing, and you know. And that is a hamster wheel as well, not just continuing to do that. And so that's why self-awareness is applicable for everyone.
Because the job won't fix it, the money won't fix it, and the weight won't fix it, the friends won't fix it. That only you can really fix it, and you can see a difference and feel a difference in your whole affect.
Well, today, everyone, we are not 2 lit chicks. We are 3 lit chicks, badasses, here to support one another. We're paying it back, giving it forward. And as we kind of look at this topic, I thought it was important because this is one that, you know, while my audience is leaders in tech, it hits everybody, and everyone can play a role in understanding how that they take their self-awareness journey and they really lean into it. So we talked about the challenges, we talked about feedback, vulnerabilities, we talked about opportunities to make authentic connections, to really continue to learn and change your leadership style, to transform. It's a journey. But I want to make sure you walk away with a couple of what I call hits. And it's what's helpful, what's impactful, and then some tips at the end of it. And we have a ton of tips because we've got some things we can lay on you. I'm learning this one from my mentees are telling me it's all about this. So what's helpful is really about being committed to the work on you first. Because before you can help effectively lead others and work with others, you got to put your mask on first and understand yourself first. So that's what's helpful. What's impactful is, I think, what Tia said, in the desire to not feel the way you're feeling and drive change because of that feeling that you want to change. And then some tips. So I'm going to leave you with, there are plenty of books out there. The Self-Awareness by Maxwell, The Art of Self-Awareness by King. Tia talked about practicing every day. Maybe you should create a little bit of a daily reflection journal. Like, why did I feel that way? What triggered that? What do I want to do? What was I doing? Be aware of what was causing you to have a reaction. But the 2 things that I love that you said that are tips that we're going to leave you with is, 1, the worthiness complex. And 2, let's just be good to each other. Let's just be good to each other. And with that, I'm going to let you leave a parting word before we close out this episode of 2 Lit Chicks. Renee?
Yes, and all those things that you shared, Fern, those are absolutely great tips. In addition to, you only get one life. This is not a dress rehearsal. The life you imagine.
Tia?
I don't know what to say after that one.
Oh, I think the mic is right there.
Don't laugh. But no, I just have to say, be true to yourself. Get to know yourself. You're the only self you have. And I really do believe, you will thank yourself and the peace that you gain from understanding who you are. You will be, it's underestimated, the power you to feel good and understanding who you are and leaning into that and supporting yourself.
Amazing. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us on another edition of 2 Lit Chicks, giving it back and paying it forward. Pierre, Renee, thank you. I love you ladies to the moon and back. Follow us at 2 Lit Chicks Podcast, all the socials, all the things, and we will see you on the other side. All right. Bye-bye.